How's it going? You're watching Ice Machine 411, and today we're going to be trying to figure out why this Ice-o-matic ice machine isn't working. Before we plug it in, turn on the water, start running cycles to try to figure out what the issue is, we're going to give the machine a once-over, kind of look for anything that's out of place, that sticks out, that's obvious, take care of those things first, and then we're going to connect the water, the power, the drain, let it run a couple cycles, see if it makes ice, see if it fails. Right away, I see that this hose isn't connected. Not exactly sure why. That's easy. We're just gonna reattach that. I was looking down in here just a second ago. It doesn't look like there's a water pump in there, which is weird. Baggy. Oh, look at this. There's our water pump. Don't know why it's shoved inside of the water-cooled condenser like that, but we're gonna need to install that. This looks a little weird. It's like somebody was messing with it, threw some zip ties on there, wrapped the TXV and the bulb in installation. It may have been replaced at some point in time. I'm not exactly sure. Either replaced or somebody just took it apart to inspect it. These caps are different, which tells me that somebody has had their gauges on this machine. Random zip tie, nothing really else out of the ordinary. Some random screws that I'm not sure where they go to. Some calcium deposits back here, which just tells me that the evaporator has been leaking, which is a common thing for these Ice-o-matics. This calcium in here as well. The evaporators aren't sealed all that well, so water ends up leaking into the compressor compartment. That's also water back here, or excuse me, calcium back here, which tells me that water was leaking at some point in time. This is a water-cooled machine, so there's no fan, there's no, coil back here. It's actually just this one, that's the condenser. So we're gonna remove these old water and drain connections and install new ones, get this thing up and running and making ice. All done installing this ice machine. So now we're gonna turn it on, watch sequence of operations, figure out when it does something that it's not supposed to do or doesn't do something that it is supposed to do. When you initially press the power button, what's gonna happen is the water trough is gonna fill with water. Right now, both of your floats are in the down position, which are closed. You can verify that by looking at the control board. The LEDs for float switch low, float switch high are both illuminated, meaning they're closed and in the down position. Quick press of the power button, water inlet valve comes on. And if you look at your float switches, which are float switch low, float switch high, float switch low just clicked off, float switch high will click off, and then the water inlet valve will de-energize, the hot gas valve will energize for 5 seconds, and then the compressor will start. We'll be in pre-chill for 30 seconds after that, and then we'll go into freeze until the both float switches go back to the down position, at which time harvest will be triggered. Right, there we go, float switch is off, harvest valve is energized, compressor just started. Now we're basically in pre-chill. So we're just gonna let this thing run, start a timer, see what happens from here. We are currently 6 minutes into freeze. I removed the splash curtain so we can see our ice pattern. Everything looks really well, so I'm not too concerned about possible TXV issue or low on charge issue. It's a nice even ice pattern all the way up and down. Whatever was going on with the water pump being removed, and shoved back there in the condenser. I reinstalled that. Doesn't seem to be having any issues. This is like I said, water-cooled machine. So that's the water running down there. I have my control board opened up just so that I can see what's going on. My dump valve is not leaking by because that drain line over there would have water running out of it. Once this thing cycles into harvest, it's a 5.5 minute max harvest time. We're gonna keep an eye on our, where's it at? The harvest assist rod, that guy right there. It pushes the ice sheet forward and off of the evaporator. The evaporator wasn't separating, wasn't covered in lime scale, so we're good on that. I did move the damper back and forth, which triggers those lights on the control board, which tells me that that is working correctly. So far, everything seems to be doing really well. So once this thing cycles into harvest, we'll check on it again. So at 11 minutes and some change, we just cycled into harvest. I'm going to have to hold this sheet of ice so it doesn't fall forward. Usually the splash curtain would do that for me, but I have it off just so I can get a better eye at what's going on. My harvest assist motor is energized. You can see that right here on relay number 3, which is illuminated. That's for the harvest valve. The actual harvest valve is somewhere back here. Oh man, I can't see it. Where are you at? It's right here. And it's not particularly hot, but I can hear the hot gas going through it. I don't know if you can see, but it is kind of melting the ice and moving forward. Let's see. It's gonna drop here in a couple of minutes. Ice pattern looks really, really well. Looks really, really good. You know, this thing might just make ice perfectly. Might take a couple cycles before it fails, if it even does fail. All right, there we go. We're pressing forward. Dropped ice. So besides the fact that I dropped a little bit of ice on the ground in front of me, it was a 1 and 54-second harvest, which is not bad at all. We're gonna let it run a couple cycles and see what happens. What I was trying to point out earlier, the harvest valve, which is this guy, opens to allow the hot gas to go into the evaporator to melt off the ice. This guy is the high pressure cutout switch. This guy right here is the high temperature switch. That guy right there. And we're just gonna let it run a couple more cycles, see if this thing fails. All right, I missed it cycling into harvest. Oh, there it goes. It dropped ice a second time. I don't know exactly what the freeze time was or the harvest time, but seemed to do its job just well. Start my timer again. Hopefully I can be down here and catch it. I was upstairs, chit-chatting, doing whatever. So I don't want to speak too soon, but if this thing makes a third batch of ice, no problems. I'm just going to walk away, say that, hey, your machine's working just fine. If it fails again, let us know. But from what I can tell, everything is doing what it's supposed to be doing. I could gauge up and kind of check pressures, pull amps on a compressor, start checking things. But when your machine's running, it's working well. It's not failing. I don't know what to tell you. Just cycled into harvest again. That's 11 minutes, 36 seconds freeze time. We're gonna make sure that the ice falls, see what our harvest time is. Like I said earlier, this guy right here is our harvest valve. And you can actually put your hand on that line and feel the hot gas refrigerant flowing through. You can hear it hissing. In about a minute or so, that ice should drop and we'll be good to go. There we go, we got ice. That one was 2 minutes, 27 seconds. It was a little bit longer than we like to see, but we're just gonna let this thing run. So if you watch this video hoping to find a solution to why your Ice-o-matic ice machine wasn't working or isn't working, there's a whole playlist of other Ice-o-matic ice machine troubleshooting videos on the channel. There's a whole playlist. Go click on it, watch, maybe you'll find your particular issue. But for this Ice-o-matic, we're gonna reach out to the customer, just let them know, hey, your machine's working just fine. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the video, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.